Alright, back in the kitchen today, wearing my nice casual, I mean you can't see it right now, but I'm literally wearing track pants and slippers.
Good.
Because I've actually got a cameraman, or woman, today though, because we are out of lockdown, which is pleasant. But what we're making today is we are making carbonara. To be more specific, we're making tagliatelle carbonara. So, in terms of ingredients of what you need, you're going to want some salt and some pepper. I've got some dried egg pasta here. You can use whatever pasta you want. I've just gone with that one. I've got speck as my bacon. You can obviously use bacon if you need to. In this bowl, I have 3 eggs that I've already cracked. I've got enough garlic to ruin a whole vampire population. And I have a bowl of parmesan that I have already pre-grated. Our first step though is to take a nice big black pot, stick it in a sink, run a tap and produce water. Very simple. And then to that water we're going to add salt. Enough salt for it to taste like seawater basically, which is the perfect way to cook pasta. Alright, water's in, transfer it across. And apply heat. Then, just going to make sure the water is nicely seasoned. And voila, we just let that come up to the boil. Now, whilst that's occurring, we cut ourselves up our bacon, our speck, our guanciale. If you can find guanciale, I highly recommend using guanciale. I couldn't find guanciale. Speck is the next best option. So what you want to do is you want the bacon to be crispy when you're cooking it, when you fry it. So you want to try and go for as smaller pieces as you possibly can. So I'm just going to cut up this whole thing. We may not use this whole speck, but at least it's there and I'm not trying to cut up more bacon in the middle looking like a complete fucking idiot. I want to at least come across semi-professional, even though there is not one iota of this that is actually considered professional. So I'll wander over to the camera in a minute with to give you a better close-up idea of what we're looking for with the bacon pieces. Now obviously you will just try and get as close as you can to this, but as you can see, nice small cubes. So, and that's literally all we're looking for. So I'll go through now and I'll cut this up whilst we're letting the water boil. And then I'll come back to you and we'll do some garlic. Alright, so now I've sliced up my speck and it looks absolutely fucking spectacular. Now a lot of fat in here, so just be aware of that when you do use guanciale or speck. There is a lot of fat. Got a random dog doing awesome things in the...
she really wants the bacon.
Yeah, probably does want the bacon. Alright, so the next task is going to be the garlic. Excuse me, doggo, can we just not do that? Thanks.
Aww.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, like the last video with the garlic, I'm literally going to take a clove of garlic. I'm going to actually make it so that you can see me taking a clove of garlic, because there's no point me, you know, cooking for the blind, basically, otherwise. I'm going to do that. And then I'm able to peel the garlic with ease.
Smash it.
And I'm just literally going to dice it up nice and small. That's it. Nice and simple. Alright, so now we've got boiling water and we've got hot oil. So into this boiling water I'm going to place our pasta. Now because I've got lightly dried egg pasta, it's only going to take about 4 or 5 minutes to cook. So at the same time we're going to have our pan which has got a little bit of oil in the bottom. Into that I'm going to add our speck or guanciale or bacon or whatever you have. And we're also going to add the garlic. And basically we want to melt the fat. So I'm going to now come and dump this pasta into the water. So it's in nice looped pieces, which just makes it easy to drop in. Now you want to make sure that your water has come to the boil quite rapidly because obviously adding the pasta is going to reduce the temperature, and you don't want to reduce the temperature too much because then the pasta will take on too much of the water and you'll end up with nice soggy pasta, which is not actually very nice. So now I'm going to put the speck in the pan first, simply because we're using fresh garlic and there is a risk of burning. I'm going to take some of the temperature out of the pan using the speck, and then I'm going to add the garlic. As you can hear, just a nice sizzle. So basically you just want to give it a quick mix around. Now unfortunately I've got a really shitty stovetop where only one burner actually has any power whatsoever for cooking. But basically you want to mix your bacon or your speck or your guanciale or whatever around until you can see that the fat is starting to come out. It gets that nice glossy colour, and at that point you want to grab your garlic. Now you don't have to add garlic. I like garlic, and honestly, show me somebody, unless they are fructose intolerant, who doesn't like garlic. And then I'm just going to stir that garlic in with the bacon, and the bacon being in the pan will help to stop that garlic colouring and burning too quickly, because we aren't aiming for black garlic. As nice as black garlic is, that is a very long, slow process. It's not done by just simply burning garlic. Alright, so as you can see, you can see that it's all nice and shiny, which means the fat's starting to melt away. You can see that there's garlic all through it, nicely spread. Now literally, for the time that the pasta takes, we need to let that do its thing. It may even take slightly longer because of my terrible stovetops to complete that before we get to the point where that goes into there. I'm now going to grab a utensil just to mix that pasta. And basically that's just to help break it up from those little loops that it was when I first placed it in the water. It's also at this point that I'm going to, in the sink, just put a colander to strain the pasta. Now I don't need to show you how to do that, because if you've ever cooked pasta before, you know exactly what to do. But if you don't have a colander, slotted spoon, tongs, you can literally just take the pasta out of the water, bang, into the sauce. Now you want to put some of the salty, starchy pasta water in with the bacon and the garlic to help create the base of your sauce. Because the rest of the sauce, which we're going to get to in a second, is literally Parmesan cheese and whisked eggs. So this is a traditional carbonara. I'll tell you right now, the smells in here are just phenomenal. So into my sink right now, I am placing a colander where we can strain the pasta. When I strain the pasta, I will keep a tiny little bit of pasta water in the pot, and I will transfer that small amount of water into there. Obviously, if you're using tongs or whatever to pull your pasta out, there's going to be enough water stuck to the pasta already when you're doing the action, where you probably won't have to add any extra water. You can probably stop it. Okay, so now our pasta is al dente. I'm going to drain it over in my strainer. I'm going to put a little bit of oil in it just so it doesn't stick, because thanks to my terrible stove tops, the bacon and garlic mix is not quite ready to have the pasta added yet. Now this bacon should come along much better now that we've got it on decent heat. As you can see, it's creating its own sauce with its own fat. So we're almost at the point there where we want to add the pasta to that. Almost. And then once we add the pasta, tiny bit of salt, because obviously the speck is already quite salty, a good helping of black pepper, and then we're going to take it off the heat, we're going to transfer it back over to the bench over there, and then we're going to do the rest of our sauce using the residual heat. Right, so now I'm going to go in with the pasta. And we're going to mix it through a bit. We're going to toss it around a bit. Basically, we're going to get it to the point where all the bacon and all the pasta and all the garlic are nicely combined. They've had their wedding, they're married, they've been on their honeymoon, they've gotten to know each other quite well.
Doesn't that happen before marriage? No?
And I'm accidentally just feeding the dog a piece of bacon, so that's alright. Okay, so at this point I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of salt in. I'm going to get and when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit. It is literally for the purpose of anything that didn't quite season the pasta when it was in the water, and anything that the bacon won't get to. So it is literally just a pinch. And then, to that, I'm going to add a nice dose of black pepper. Now, I like the heat that black pepper provides in my carbonara. If you're not a big fan of that, use slightly less. Of course, whenever I cook these things, I'm going to be cooking to my personal preferences, or the preferences of those that I am cooking for, because obviously we do not waste any food around here. Okay, so that is literally where we want it to be right now, so I'm going to drop the heat on that, and we're going to set up an area over on the bench to bring this over, where we're going to do the sauce and then finish this pasta. So heat right down, and I'll see you over at the bench. Okay, so now we're going to put our sauce together. So we're going to literally take those 3 egg yolks, or whole eggs should I say, I'm going to pop them in the bowl. I'm going to quickly whisk that together just to break up the yolks and start the combining that with the whites. And then to that, I'm going to add my parmesan. And we're going to mix that together until we have like a, you could almost call it an omelette style mix, I guess, if you're one of those people who adds cheese to your omelette. That's probably what you're going to end up with it looking like. Just the uncooked version, I guess, if that's the best way to sort of help you visualize what you're looking for. But as you can see, it is just a claggy, cheesy, eggy mix. And that is literally the basis of your sauce. Now, we're going to bring the fry pan over, and we're going to turn it into a sauce. Okay, as you can see, we've got our pasta here. It is very hot. And we've got our sauce mix that we just made over here, just out of the shop. Basically, I'm going to use the residual heat from in this pasta to turn this into a creamy sauce. So usually people in Australia and all that, we would add cream to make a carbonara. That is not the right way to do it. This is how you do it. So I'm going to go in. Now you want to work at a relatively quick speed here, because you don't want to scramble the eggs with the heat. So you want to get it out of the bowl. You want to not accidentally almost trip over your dog that's hanging around because of the amazing smells. And then you literally want to mix, mix, mix. And as you can see, it's creating this beautiful, eggy, cheesy, creamy, saucy, peppery, bacony. Simple as that. Looks like I've added cream, but not one iota of cream is actually in that. And that is what you're looking for. Literally now, dish it up. You don't need to do anything else. It is a banging carbonara that will have all the flavour you could ever possibly want. So now that it's in the bowl, and we've presented it, and we've taken our photos, it's time to in the gob. Hell yeah. That is delicious. So good. I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet here either. That is just spectacular.